It's 6:42 p.m. You're setting the table for two and checking your phone again when someone knocks sharply on the door. You freeze for a second, then walk to the door wiping your hands, telling yourself it's just a delivery or a neighbor. You open the door halfway and two men stand there. They are not neighbors and not a delivery. One of them pushes the door open. You step back as he asks, "Where is he?" You don't know what he means. "You're his wife," the man says. You nod before you can stop. His eyes sharpen as he decides something. He studies you for a long second, then smiles slightly like he just made a decision. "Okay," he says. "You have two options. Come with us or we start tearing this place apart until we find something useful." You glance at the kitchen table you just set and say, "If I come, you don't touch anything here." The car ride is completely silent. You sit in the back replaying everything you know about your husband. They take you to an active warehouse full of people moving and watching. You're escorted inside like you belong. The taller man stops in front of a door and says, "Last chance, where is he?" You reply, "You don't know." They open the door and your husband is sitting inside, calm and untouched like he's been waiting. He looks at you and asks, "What is she doing here?" His tone carries authority you've never heard before. He tells the men to leave. They obey immediately without argument, and the door closes, leaving just the two of you. You stare at him and say, "Start talking." He exhales slowly and admits he was going to keep you out of this. You say, "You lied to me." He answers simply, "Yes," with no excuses or softening. You ask, "What are you?" He looks at you and answers simply, "I run things." He tells you those men were competitors and that once you're in, you don't get out. You don't go home that night. Instead, you sit in a room you don't recognize, somewhere between guest and prisoner. Your husband walks in later and says, "Things changed." You reply, "That's one way to put it." He continues, "They know about you now. That means you're a variable, a risk." You understand what he means. He steps closer and says, "You stay close to me, where I can control the situation." The first few weeks feel unreal. You are moved to a different, more secure and isolated house. At first, you stay out of it. You don't ask questions, you simply wait and observe everything around you. One night, you hear raised voices through a closed door, your husband arguing strategically with someone. You shouldn't listen, but you do anyway, because now it concerns you and your future. Later, he walks in and says, "You heard that?" You reply, "Yes," and he nods knowingly. You ask what that means for you. He says it's time you stopped pretending you're not part of this. You start asking practical questions. What if they target me? Who to trust? And what's the backup plan? When an urgent call comes, they look to you. You decide, delay the shipment, and contain the risk. Later, he returns, learns what you did, and nods. You chose caution over profit, he says quietly. That approval changes everything, not just how he sees you, but how everyone now looks at you. You become involved. You sit in rooms you weren't meant to enter, and when you speak, people listen. You realize you're not here by accident anymore. You're here because you're useful. But usefulness comes with a cost. You see people cut off and lines crossed that can't be uncrossed. At first you question them, then you understand them, then you start justifying them. One night you confront him and say, "This changes you." He replies that it already has. You say, "I mean me." He answers, "Only if you let it." You know that's not entirely true. Time passes, months go by. Your role solidifies. You handle things when he can't and advise when needed. You notice he trusts you more than anyone. That trust is power, and it is dangerous power. Because trust creates access, and access creates options for your own protection and control. At first, you don't think about betrayal. You think about protecting yourself, your future, and staying in control. Then comes the night everything tilts. Another attack, closer and more precise. They come directly for you. You survive barely, because you saw it coming, because you learned. You are no longer the same person. Afterward, he says they crossed a line. You reply, "They always do." He wants to make it personal. You step in as his equal and say, "You're going to escalate, and if you're wrong, you lose everything." He asks what you would do. You answer, "Control the damage first, then respond." He studies you carefully. He nods slowly and says, "Then we do it your way." That moment changes everything permanently. From then on, you're not just part of the system, you help run it. Decisions now pass through you. You feel every choice, every outcome, and every cost. The weight of this life is now fully on you. At night, when everything is quiet, you think about the life you had, the table you set, and the door you opened. You look at the man you married and the man you now understand. The answer is both.
One night he asks, if you had known, would you have stayed? You pause before answering. You finally say, yes, not because it's simple, but because you've already lived it. Your phone vibrates with another call. You pick it up and answer, because that's what you do now.
As you listen and respond, taking control of a situation that could spiral, one clear thought settles in your mind.